Hello, it's Igor and Tom in Doing in Public again.
Yo!
Hello, Tom. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Igor. Nice to meet you, finally.
Do it in public. You have nothing to hide. Start using the internet. Join the ride.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Having a pretty good day, pretty good week so far. How are you?
Yeah, we just discussed privately with Tom that I have a bit low week, but overall I feel okay. So it's just a bad week. It's come and go. So everything's cool too. Let's me introduce you to people how I know you. I don't know much about you, so I think we'll have a really great conversation. But I noticed you in Twitter, I think a month ago or so, when I saw similarities with your bio and James Kim. So I tagged him back then and started noticing you since then. And I see you're doing some interesting stuff on Twitter. I see you very positive, which I really enjoy. Like in Twitter, the positive attitude, the positive encouragement, helping people. So you're doing this and you're growing pretty fast. So that's what I know about you. But tell probably your short backstory, what did you do before Twitter and how did you get there?
Sure. So I've always been something of an entrepreneurial person ever since I was a teenager. I tell the story a lot to people because it kind of paints a decent picture. But back when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I used to be like an MMORPG gold farmer before it was actually a thing. Harvesting gold, selling it on eBay. Throughout most of my teenage years, I would do various things to try and make money, mostly not online, except for buying and selling of a variety of different things. Expensive clothing, which was one thing, which is nice. As I progressed into my adulthood, of which I'm 33 right now, within the past 10 years, about the last decade, is when I actually settled down and start building companies, very tiny startups, some of them, and trying to be more productive in my life through the ways of technology. I started off building 33 different apps back in 2013. They were mostly cut and paste. What's that?
33?
33.
In what time frame?
2 months.
Wow.
So, okay, I will admit that they were pretty bad. I look back on them and they're visually and functionally quite crap. But the general premise kind of stuck with me throughout much of what I did because they were instructional in some sense, educational, mostly about a variety of topics, health, fitness, a little bit of finance, and a variety of other things. That kind of gave me my first kickstart in technology because that also helped me learn how to code. And I just kind of built that up. After that, I went on to doing a little bit of web development with another partner of mine, contractual work / building, also somewhat questionable SaaS CMS for kind of an e-commerce system, but mostly just landing pages and things for various customers that we had. But the biggest thing I did was in 2017, when me and a co-founder who was the business side of things and I was the tech side of things, we started a e-commerce product sourcing platform. We went through TechStars in 2018, built that up over the course of 5 years. I mean, it's still going, built that over the course of 6 years. But last year I realized that I wasn't quite as impactful as I wanted to be. Felt like there were other things for me in life. So I kind of just slowly stepped back, made myself redundant, and disappeared out of Canada and came here to Europe.
That's another part that also relates to you with James because he's from Canada too, right?
That's right, yeah. And he's also left Canada too.
Okay, so you just left the company and you moved from Canada to Berlin, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And you also joined Twitter, yeah?
I did, yeah. That's only a couple months ago. I first joined. Okay, so I've shouted him out a couple times. There was one fellow that I came across on Product Hunt, Norbert Yuga.
Oh, yeah.
His name is. Yeah. He made the Ugly Duckling Chrome extension, the Twitter analytics app. I came across that on Product Hunt, and I just slowly decided to go down the rabbit hole of okay, what is this? Let's read a little bit more about him. Oh, he kind of posts about the things that he does. What is this build in public community? I'm like, damn, that's a nice community. At the time, I was building things completely in private. Nothing that I really wanted to talk about. But as I saw his profile, I'm like, this is kind of cool. Maybe I'll make a Twitter. Made a Twitter account. posted a couple times, obviously 0 engagement. I was the only person seeing my stuff. I'm like, do I just keep going or do I just kind of go away? And I slowly just tiptoed in further and further. And over the course of time, I guess somehow people like what I talk about, and all of a sudden things have continued to grow. There are people that I'm super happy that I'm able to have connected with, you included, which I otherwise would not have been able to find in 3 months ago. If you asked me if I would be on Twitter, or now X, I would wonder what the hell you're talking about. But here we are.
Nice. Okay, so it's like a few big parts here. So your background is technical, right?
Yeah.
So in this like big company that you work for 5 years, like a TechStar company, you led engineering department, right?
Yep.
Was you a CTO or what?
I wasn't a CTO, so there's a whole situation with that, which I fully understand, and there are certain parts of kind of the growth of that company, which, okay, so technically speaking, I joined as a late co-founder, but we went from being, when I joined, it was a startup of a couple people and not really a functional product, essentially 0 revenue. When I joined, we dwindled back down to 2, just me and my co-founder, which is when things really started to take off. Throughout that period of time, I wasn't the CTO, but I was acting as the CTO throughout pretty much the entirety of the company's life. And yeah.
And what was the size of the company, like in terms of people or revenue?
So I can't really go into too much revenue numbers, just
sure,
because
no
that's kind of outside of my realm of responsibility.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Whatever you can tell.
But we went from I saw it go from 2 people up to 50 people. We had a reasonably small engineering team. At most, we had 9 people. But then we had, of course, finance team, support team, marketing team, and everything like that.
Nice. Cool. Okay, so you learned development by yourself, like by developing these applications, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So it started off, actually, probably about 12 years ago. I wanted to get into game development because my brother, who I always looked up to, was a programmer in either animation or the game development space. And I was like, I want to do that. That sounds fun. So I downloaded Unity, started trying to learn C# and JavaScript, had a hard time with it somehow. For whatever reason, I fell into apps and did that for a while. And after that, I was like, okay, I got a little bit of skill. Let's go into web development where we're actually building things for somebody other than myself. And that also helped me build a little bit more because it was no longer just me doing something for me. Somebody else had to dictate how I do stuff. So I had a standard of quality I needed to meet.
And these applications, do you mean mobile applications or sharp applications?
Oh, no. So originally the apps that I built, those were Android and iOS. So those were mobile applications. But then
but did you use like Objective-C or how did you run them?
So this is the crappy thing. I did it in Unity.
Okay.
It was totally the wrong platform to do that. And that's why I look back and I'm like, God, that was such a piece of shit.
No, it's very interesting because it's not like books teaching you. It's like your real past. Like that's how most of people do. So I think that's cool that you tried. It's like you probably could discover like the whole industry in there, right?
It was kind of by accident, but yeah, no, I've never been a person that really wants to read books. I've never been a person that can really sit down and just kind of crack open a book and just go bam, 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 bam. I have the attention span of a fly, and it's hard for me to focus on things. So I'm just like, okay, if I don't want to read, I'll listen to things. If I don't want to listen to things, I'll just go in and do it. And I felt like that was the best experience.
But I also discovered, I don't know if you know these books, but probably as you just discovered recently, there are like type of books that are really like cool, that are really short, concise, practical. Most popular, I think, is Mom Tests. Do you know this book?
I know of it. Yeah.
So I understand what you're talking about, attention span, but I think it's more like about the value in the book. So if there is no value in every sentence, it's boring. But Mom Test is like really close to it. And I also love the author Derek Sivers.
Derek Sivers, yeah.
Do you know him?
Yeah.
What he says he names his genre is a pop philosophy right now. So it's probably interesting to you as we discuss philosophy. But originally he's an entrepreneur, he sold company. But the way how he writes the books, it's like tweets. Like every sentence is like super powerful. Like the chapter will take only like one page or two at most. So it's really cool to read, a lot of knowledge, simple. So I can recommend you some.
Yeah, I'd definitely give it a go. I'd like for some book to be able to captivate me and be able to hit me just quick, short, not have to go through 10 pages of long, drawn out explanation.
Yeah, I can relate. Okay, so you did this weird thing in Unity. You built apps,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay, and this company probably let's discuss TechStars experience for a bit. Did you like it? Would you recommend to go through accelerators to other builders when it makes sense?
So there's a couple different considerations with that. Obviously, there's the essentially kind of like the VC aspect of going through an accelerator, which you do have to accept the fact that you will be going down the VC route. You don't necessarily need to go all in and end up at a Series C. But it is a certain pathway that I know that a lot of people in the build in public community or the solopreneur community don't necessarily want to take. Yeah. That being said, that's totally up to you, depending on your finances and your runway and everything. The experience itself was quite interesting. Not so much necessarily because of the content. I mean, they had like quality content. They brought people in. They taught us a lot of things. They pushed us to really, beat where we were currently. We had weekly goals that we needed to achieve, or else we get chewed out. But the community that we had, which I think was different than Y Combinator, because I think Y Combinator is a bit bigger, a bit more open. TechStars, we were in a group of 9 other companies in a small space in Seattle, just going at it, going forward. So there was a big feeling of community and doing things together. So whatever we learn, we share with everybody else, and vice versa. TechStars was also the kind of the moment where we were able to understand how do we go from making zero money to actually making money. We managed to get a few users at that point in time, but nobody was paying us. There were a few different things that they taught us that essentially allowed us to turn on the money funnel, and we actually became a company that wasn't just burning cash, which, thinking back on it, that was like the biggest turning point that we had over the course of our entire life.
Nice. So it was actually helpful, right? So.
Oh yeah, super helpful. Yeah.
Nice. And these 9 founders, they were like building in the same industry?
Not necessarily. I guess it was mostly tech, yeah, but it was a variety of different things. The TechStars that we went to wasn't so much like one single industry focused. It was just a variety of people, either from Canada or from the United States, just in there. Nice.
Yeah, sounds cool. And I also heard from our client who was in YC, like you said, like it's for now it's a very big cohort, so you don't feel this like community anymore. He said that he also was on deck, and on deck is much like better in terms of this community, but I don't know how it is now.
Yeah.
It's cool that TechStars is a positive experience. I also heard like good stories about them.
Yeah, they seem good. If I had to recommend anybody, I'd definitely say if you're interested in TechStars, give it a shot. I'd be curious to go through the YC experience just for the sake of going to it, which maybe at some point I will try to, but we'll see.
Okay, so now probably let's, I don't know, do you want to tell some specific story from your company, probably that will be interesting? Or we can switch to Twitter. We can circle back later if we find some lead.
I think it will kind of start to weave itself into a lot of the topics that we might go down in the future, just because I think a lot of who I am as a person and how I've shaped my life has come from the past 5 years of my life. So I think that'll probably pop up one way or another.
Nice. Yeah, because I also want to discuss this plzsend.help and other stuff that you're building.
Yeah, okay.
So tell about Twitter. I wonder, so you definitely cracked some code. And was it like intentional? So you mentioned like it was like 0 views in the beginning, but how fast did you like understand what you should do?
I still don't understand what I'm supposed to do.
Okay, cool.
I don't know. It was like, so I guess within the first couple of weeks, it's I don't know. It's really hard to say. Within the first couple of weeks, it's like, okay, tweet about anything. See if anybody likes it. No, okay, tweet about something else. I kind of just slowly mentally shifted towards the things that generally made more sense and got more results. Not necessarily that I changed how I tweeted, because I didn't want to tweet about things that aren't really me. I didn't want to talk about stuff that wasn't really me, but I got to understand the things that other people wanted to hear or wanted to see. over the course of the past 2 months, it's mostly just been sort of iterating on that idea. There are occasional things that I post that I'm like, hey, this will be good, and nobody cares. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I guess that's just not that's not something I should be talking about. But one of the things that I've done throughout the entirety of it, which is starting to become challenging, is I tried to always respond to everybody that responds to my stuff. Because if they've taken, even 15 seconds to respond to my post, I want to take the time to respect them and respond to their post. Unless it's something like cool, which is sometimes hard to respond to, but even then I still do my best. That gets difficult when you have tons and tons of comments on accidentally viral tweets, but that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and that's actually your secret knowledge, like replying to every tweet, and that you understand that you should do this, because like I was trying to bring a lot of people to Twitter, and I'm saying this, that you should never leave comment unanswered, because it used to me also for me like a rule, so I didn't understand that, but now I clearly understand that it's like disrespect. Like if you want to grow, like you need to pay attention to like every single person who, like you said, like spent a few seconds on your content. It's already great. So it's interesting, and I wonder, where did you learn this? But probably you like experience the same on other platform, or I don't know.
I'm a person that never had social media. I did deactivate my Facebook like 15 years ago. I have a LinkedIn because it's a professional network that I need to be on, but I never had Twitter. I never had any other social media. I don't have Instagram or anything else. It's all new to me, but I think it just sort of boils down to how I try to treat people in reality, in the real world. Whenever I talk to them, I want to be the person that if somebody's talking to, I give them the attention that they're giving me because they deserve it. And I'm not going to be the person that, if you're talking to me, I'm like, just check out my phone for a second. No, because that's rude fundamentally. And I don't know, it just kind of goes back to having rapport with somebody and having the respect for them. Nice.
And this is really interesting that you also brought that you never had social media, because your writing is also good. Like, how did you learn writing then? Or did you do it a lot in a company, or do you do it yourself, like probably journaling, or what's your secret?
Sounds weird, but I have a feeling that it's somewhat vaguely genetic. My dad was always pretty good at writing, and even though he never did anything professionally and I never did anything professionally writing wise, it always just came easy. I had sort of a problem of writing too much, in a small explanation. Things will get a bit big, a bit wall of text. With Twitter, I had to learn how to funnel things down and make things much more short and punchy, but it's easier to do that than just to not know how to write in the first place. I've always been reasonably, eloquent with my words, which has helped write things that come off the tongue nicely. But I don't know. It just kind of happens naturally.
Interesting. I will learn. So probably you don't know. Probably you don't know yet. I know. Okay. And in your company, did you do a lot of documentation, leadership documentation and process documentation, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably where you learn it. So there should
be definitely helped. Yeah, that was at least an outlet for me to be able to just boom, 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 write a ton of stuff on a fairly regular basis.
Okay, so I wonder, in your leadership, the team, what's your style? In terms of one-on-ones, talking to people regularly. Do you think it's needed, or synchronous meetings, like daily meetings or weekly meetings? What's your style?
So daily meetings, potentially. It really depends on the context of your team, the dynamic of your team, how well you communicate. Otherwise, maybe even if your team is physically close in proximity, the most important thing is being able to, or proactively communicating the situation that you're in and the problems that you're facing. If that's already done, I don't really see a need for daily meetings. On and off throughout the course of our time, we had different times where it's like, okay, this is kind of necessary now because it's a very critical moment in our life, and there are other times when it wasn't quite as useful, so we just did away with it. One-on-ones, though, are super important, not just to understand, mostly not to understand where somebody is in terms of their projects and their work, but to understand what's going on with them as a person. Because frankly, if you have a problem at home, it's going to affect your work, whether you like it or not. And while you don't have to open up to me about everything, it's helpful for me to know and to be able to provide some kind of support.
Okay, and like when you're working with the teams, like do you like schedule these one-on-ones like from the very beginning, or like is it part of your like process? Or
Yeah. I usually did one-on-ones once every 2 weeks. If somebody's just kind of starting off, I usually did it once a week for the first couple months, kind of get them integrated and make sure they're up to speed with everything, making sure they're comfortable with how things are going. But yeah, I feel like one of my biggest tenets of being a manager or a leader was to make sure that I'm on the right side of the people that I'm working with. So they don't see me as somebody that's, cracking the whip and working against them, but somebody that's trying to help them move forward.
But didn't you have like weeks where that were filled with these one-on-ones, and you also thought like you should
given that I only had a maximum team of 9, it really wasn't that bad. I kept my team small and super effective. We were able to put out quite a lot of good work with a fairly small amount of people. There were definitely periods in kind of like, I guess, starting from roughly 2020 onward, where the amount of meetings in my week became overbearing to the point where I didn't have time to do anything else. With little rescheduling and kind of fixing things around, my team helped me offload some stuff, as they normally do if I delegate work, and that made my life a little bit easier.
Okay. Yeah, the reason why I'm asking, do you know like this trend of async culture, like what it means?
I'm vaguely familiar with it.
Basically, it's like replacing meetings with asynchronous communication, like probably in tickets, probably like through email. Someone says like send one daily email with all your like stuff, like recording Loom demos instead of like meeting and showing demos. Basically, trying to minimize like personal. It's not like minimizing like personal connection, because like you still can like meet and chat. It's more like about how to make work independent of these meetings. And as you mentioned, like you need to be conscious and proactive to make it work, because you should understand that if nobody knows what you're doing, like it won't work. So you should share it, you should keep track on it, so it requires additional efforts. But you're not familiar with it like a lot, right?
Nah, not exactly, not in that traditional sense. We did have practices of, for a period of time, instead of doing morning meetings, we just had we had our updates in the morning and our updates at the end of the day. Obviously we talked throughout the day, but for certain things that didn't need to have meetings, it's easier to save however much time on everybody's side if you just shoot off a few messages and everybody knows what's up. And that was good enough for us.
Got it. Because now, as you're building in Twitter, so imagine like you're building your company already. So basically, you're leading people. So you will more like writing and leading through writing now than meeting. I don't know if you've already feel it, but basically, it's your like crowd, and you can hire them to a company. So that's how it will feel soon for you.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm not a fan of meetings. I like meetings only when they're purposeful and when they're important, or when it really makes sense from the personal perspective. Otherwise, I love async. I love text. I love keeping things super simple and effective.
Yeah, so it's a bit of rabbit hole, but it started from I'm still trying to like understand where you learned like writing all the skills. Okay, so another skill that I think you got. So you joined Twitter and you started to like tweet daily, right? You weren't missing any day, right?
I missed one day, and I think that was last Sunday. And just to see what would happen, and I think Twitter deranked me or something ever so slightly, because I noticed there's a bit of a dip in my engagement and things like that. I don't know, things went back to normal. Maybe it was just a random day, but yeah.
I mean, how did you figure out that you should tweet daily?
I don't know. I've always been a person of consistency. I'm a person of routine. I'm the person that eats the same food morning, day, and night for like 5 years straight. So consistency is normal for me. If I build something into my routine, it just becomes part of my routine, unless I'm like dying on the bed or something and I can't do it.
Okay. Yeah, you seem to have really like a lot of fundamental knowledge. Yeah, probably learned it in childhood.
I think so. Yeah, my childhood definitely shaped a lot of the mentalities that I have now as an adult.
Nice. Because the reason why I'm so worried about it, because I was like unconscious like most of my life. So the only when I started to dig in it and understand how things works is when I started to create content. And I joined Twitter about 3 years ago, and it didn't work for me like all this time. But when I joined like LinkedIn and Twitter, I thought, I'm leading like 200 people company. Like I already lead these people. I know how things works. It will be easy. But nobody cared. And wow, like it doesn't work. Like what should I do? And I was angry, on myself. Like why it doesn't work? Like, why it does work for them? But like a few months later, I become more constructive and started to like ask like how do I make them love it, like the content, and started to learn. But I also like wasn't disciplined, so I learned in Twitter like everyone was talking about consistency. So I forced myself to tweet daily, but I was tweeting to the void like for all this time. So I was learning it consciously. So that's why I understand this when I learned discipline, when I learned writing, because like I was learning copywriting, I understand why I need it, and you learn it elsewhere. So it's interesting.
I think there's something. This is I guess a philosophy or a mental. It's about psychology that I learned a long time ago, probably about 15 years ago. Where you have like kind of the 4 different quadrants of how you know things. You have like the unconscious incompetent, where you really don't understand that you don't know, and you just kind of go forward. And you have like conscious incompetent, where you're aware of your lack of understanding. And then you have, I don't remember exactly the order. You essentially go from not knowing anything, recognizing that you know something, trying to actively learn, and then being like fully aware of, actually no, it's just conscious competence, where you don't even know what you're doing, but it just does what you want it to do, just because it's kind of built into what you do. And I think you've probably gotten to that point, or you're at least getting closer to that point, similar to me, where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it seems to work, so I'm just going to keep doing it. But yeah. And
one also big part of this, we can discuss, but big part for me was like teaching, because I learned when I joined Twitter is that I'm really suck at teaching, and it's really bad because I realized this and thought, wow, how will I teach new people if I can teach? So it was really challenging, and it helped me like really. Like it's all related, like consciousness, like in this stuff. So you just systemize the knowledge, like I don't know, label it somehow. So you have a system now that you can tell with the same words to like few people. And I also learned like the value of this course. Like we have now, like every time when I was meeting with someone, I first of all learned that they are interested about something that I couldn't expect. So it's always something random. So something that I care about, they don't care. But when I'm share screen and showing how in Slack, like how we do meetings, and someone says, wow, can you tell me how you do meetings? Can you tell how you organize these teams? And okay, so it's interesting to you. I would never expect. It's really like important to talk with people. What I learned, like in with Twitter, you can learn these gaps like quickly.
I think that's an interesting thing I've learned just from trying to understand the whole aspect of sales, which is like when you communicate, it's not about what you want to say to them. It's what they want to hear from you, right? Like you want me to say the things that you want to hear. You don't care if I'm saying things that are completely out of your realm of interest, which I guess goes back to like empathy and understanding somebody. But once you start to understand that, then you're like, okay, so maybe the things that I like aren't actually what people like, and that's fine. So what do I say that they like? What gets them interested? And then you kind of gravitate towards that. That's probably, it sounds like that's what part of your Twitter journey was.
Yes, exactly. And that's what become like practical, like mental model. Like and I'm trying to also like document this exercises that I can share, because now when something, when I don't know how to do something and everything seems messy, I'm just, okay, stop. Why I do this? What will be the most valuable things like to have now? Who is interesting to see? Where are they hanging out? Like, how can I reach out to them? And by the way, you are a pretty interesting target audience to me. As like I'm searching for like founders outside of Twitter to get them in Twitter. It was really interesting that you mentioned Product Hunt. So I didn't know that. Some people hanging out in Product Hunt, but not in Twitter.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I knew about Twitter a long time ago, but I just I never particularly liked the idea of Twitter. I never knew about this community, or I never knew about a productive community within Twitter, I should say. I had a different perspective of what Twitter was.
No, it's not. Yeah, so you're right. The sales is the same. So I think like copywriting is like the same as sales. Like how to make people understand what you want, or like do what you want with the minimum amount of words.
Pretty much, yeah.
To like maximum amount of people in your audience, but basically like with their language.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you never learn copywriting, so you don't know this, right?
No, I mean, I've only recently started trying to learn, and I'm really not that deep into it. It's something that I'm like, I should learn this just so I can kind of optimize the things that I do, whatever, products that I build, websites that I make. I don't know how I'm going to incorporate that into my writing, and I'm fine with not necessarily doing that. Just because I like keeping things short and simple, and also very personable, very me.
Nice. And you see my screen now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see what is going on there. By the way, do you know this extension? I keep telling everyone about it.
Tweet Hunter?
It's not a Tweet Hunter, it's Tweetmax. So Tweet Hunter bought them, but it's like a free extension. Tweetmax.
I use Black Magic now, which I have been only for like a couple weeks or so.
Okay.
I don't know if it does similar sorts of thing.
Okay, but what it shows, it's I'm using like daily, like for my tweets, like for other tweets. So I'm open and I see like your top tweets all time now. So we can show like what works here, and we can research.
Okay.
Okay, so it's interesting that today you have your most popular tweet.
It's not technically not my most popular of all time. I had one that was like, what was it? What is the story behind your username? And I think it had like 20,000 impressions.
Okay, so it seems like in terms of likes. Let's see. Okay, so it's highlights. Yeah, I don't know what's. Okay, but anyway, so we can discuss. So you join Build Space. What are you going to build there?
I'm going to continue building plzsend.help. My goal is not to succeed. My goal is to help other people succeed. And I don't plan on getting to the end. I just plan on getting other people closer to the end. So that should be fun.
Okay, so it's for plzsend.help, right?
It is, yeah.
Okay,
at
so
least right now.
A minute. Okay, so let's see. So it's
that one.
Yeah, these people like wins. People like photos. Okay, so this is from your thread, right? From
yeah, from my 1000 thread.
Okay, so what I see here, so you don't have like viral tweets yet, right?
I had 3 from a couple weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. I think the first one hit like 7K or something like that. The next one hit 11K.
Oh yeah,
and then another one hit 20.
Yeah,
that one.
I don't know why it doesn't show it, but okay. So it has a lot of comments and stuff. But see, you don't have them like regularly, right? So
I had 3 in 1 week, and that was it.
Okay, yeah, but the reason I ask, so it's different. So I'm like reviewing these profiles, and I see it's different for different people. So someone grows with like every tweet gaining more and more likes. Someone grows even like without tweets. So it's interesting sometimes. So you can grow without tweets. Like there is guy Nachos that I wanted to bring here. So he grown just with the comments. You seem to do something interesting too, but I can't figure out what exactly. But people like to follow you, so it's like a big growth for like this like amount of tweets, I would say.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess people like my stuff, which is nice and comforting to me as a person.
Nice. Or probably have also really converting header, so you can research. You'll probably have good conversion rate.
I've searched across hundreds of different headers to find the ones that I like the most, and then I just merged them together and kind of stole the idea and made it nice and clean. Okay.
Okay. So let's go to the plzsend.help because I saw some cool stuff there. So it's a free startup advice and mentoring public. Pitch me quickly what it is.
So instead of doing things like a normal person and trying to make a company that actually makes money, I've decided to take the unconventional route of helping people that are just starting off or have questions in order to give them free advice that they would otherwise probably have to pay for. One of the things that I had problems with early on in my life is that I didn't really have, say, either a mentor or somebody to guide me in the right direction. I was lucky enough to have a few different opportunities that put me in the position that I am right now. And I know that most people don't have that. It's a grind and it's hard to get there. You are a person that grants opportunities to other people. This is how I grant opportunities to other people. Because I know that when you're starting off, when you have 0 MRR, you're not going to pay like $200 an hour in order to mentor from someone with no real stake in your business.
Sure. Yeah, I like a pitch. I like that, especially like engine. You can use because you show like what it takes, like for real, like for people with zero MRR. So you're showing the real value, like in the end. Because yeah, I see a lot of people and see a lot of people who will see value in it. So it's cool. But let's go to the website because it's pretty cool. Use. By the way, I saw. Okay, so it's in the website. Okay, let's scroll it and ask. Employees, they need to thrive in the job. It's just action about for growing business. I'm reading.
I'm curious about this. I talked with someone the other day about people that come to your website. Like I saw this in video recording where people click in order to highlight text. Do you do that for like a focus thing in order for you to understand where you are?
Yeah, it's like in the book you like use finger, so it's something.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, by the way, treat it like a user interview, so it's a perfect time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm paying attention. I've done a few of those recently. I know there's a lot I got to change.
Nice. And do you have like a lot of emails here? Because I think it makes sense. Probably already show a number here.
I don't have a ton. We're still, I think we're close to 50, which ain't that much. I would love for more people to sign up just because I would love to be able to help more people. I know that there's a lot of things I need to improve on this website because it's super generic and it doesn't really target one specific problem that anybody has. That's feedback I've gotten thus far. So there's a lot of improvements that are going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. The reason I ask, so for newsletters, for stuff like this, I at least me, like I always check in like what the number of people who are already reading this. I think it's a profit newsletter. If you don't have much, I think you can also highlight your Twitter profile, like even in the top, like that you have already 1,000 followers, so people understand it. So it's my first recommendation for your hero blog.
Fair enough.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, plzsend.help is an initiative to give every entrepreneur the knowledge and opportunities they need to thrive in the startup world. We distill years of startup experience, action, and advice for you to grow a business. Hard time and okay. So yeah, sorry for advice. You can ignore, you cannot. But it will be cool again to see you here. So from the very beginning, I see that it's some Tom that already have like startups who already like passed through TechStars. So like basically CEO here.
Yeah.
So I already see that. Okay, so I can consider this guy. And then when you say like distill years of startup experience, when you don't have like face on it, like what years, what startup experience. So I have questions now. But like if you just put your profile, I think it can already fix it. Hard on getting users. And like as we're talking about copyright, and it's always great to like put numbers. Exactly.
Yeah, this is the problem. This is what I mean. It's a little too generalized, and I need to revamp a lot of this text. That's a lot of the content.
I mean, it looks cool. It's already picked, and I'll show what I like really here. Job life can be balance, stress. Helpness, and there's always more balance kind of charts. Takes more than just you. We're here to help. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here's the main book. Nice. Yeah, that's what I probably would put at the top, like ensure this. And what I wanted to ask, so you are not the fan of designs?
No, that's not my. I'm not going to be doing designs for you.
Okay. It's fine. So personal development, you put it first because it's like the most important for you right now.
Frankly, I think it's the most important thing for a person who's trying to build a company. You can't build a company on a broken person, fundamentally.
Okay. Yeah. So it's probably it's like a big idea here also to say, because I get it and I know and say you and it makes sense, but probably like for outsider, like again who just saw first time, probably it makes sense to say like that. Like the mindset is a must for founders.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and love this one.
Everybody loves this.
Yes. And that's what it makes unique. So that's I mean your website doesn't need to be perfect like in terms of copy and stuff, but that's what get it remembered. And like, even these designs, like you said that you don't like design, but you have something here, so it's it's already rememberable. Okay, so it's free for free, whatever it is, and market plan. Okay, and what is call to action at the bottom?
Yeah, no, I don't have a call to action at the bottom. I don't think it's on my to-do list in Notion, so that a call to action at the bottom.
Yes, you can see because, or I don't know, here probably as it get excitement, but yeah, it definitely makes sense. And call to action is subscribe, right?
Yeah, but yeah, it's kind of vague. One of the feedback I've gotten thus far is that it's hard to really understand what exactly you're going to get by punching in your email and hitting that button, which I definitely agree with and understand. So that's something I got to change. Be a little bit more explicit.
Nice. And so do you like already send these emails, or are you just collecting these emails for now?
No, so if you punched in your email and you signed up, I would send an automated email that just says, "Hey, thanks for signing up," and reply to this if you want to talk with me, if you want to actually have some help. Because I know that there are some people that see this, understandably, as as a newsletter, which is not fundamentally a newsletter yet. But there are some people that sign up because they want help for a problem that they currently have. Which, if you do that, you get a response from me, send an email back, and then I'll schedule a time to chat with you and figure out what's going on.
Okay, so you get in on the calls with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And did you do like a lot of calls like this already?
Done a handful over the course of the past couple of weeks. Beforehand, it was mostly email, but then I realized people might not always like email, so I wanted to do what people would like rather than what I would like. So I started hopping on calls because it's easier.
Oh yeah, definitely. And how long do you usually takes? Like, is it 30 minutes or what?
Yeah, 30, 45 minutes, give or take, which is not too bad. Cover a whole lot of ground within that time.
Okay, and do you have some like plans, like how to evolve this? Like, do you want to build like a community, a platform?
So the original idea, which I'm still working towards, is for every communication that I have with somebody, there's an opportunity for some kind of information to be extracted and essentially be reproducible or repeatable.
Yeah.
I've noticed that with a few people that I've talked to, there's commonalities, not like huge crossovers, but there's commonalities in the journeys that people have taken where, people have problems getting users, people have problems, people signing up or paying for subscriptions. Those are generic enough that there's a lot of information that you can pull out and somebody can access the website and read something that's somewhat generalized, but be able to answer their problems. What I want to have at the end of this, probably within a month or less, is to have some kind of a knowledge base that people can access, read information, understand how applicable it is to them, and then if they still have issues, email me, and then I can add some context that's more related to them. So instead of giving a personalized response to everybody, generic response up front, and then little personalizations afterwards as necessary.
Okay, but like, do you want to monetize it somehow?
Nah, not really, not right now. I'll figure that out later. I'm fine right now. I don't need to worry about that for the next little while. So I'm just focusing on doing what I want to do rather than doing what I have to do.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so I wanted to ask, so yeah, basically, like you have like a runway.
I have runway. Yeah, I got personal runway for a while.
Okay, cool. Oh, so you basically living a happy life and experimenting with stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I'm living fairly cheaply in Berlin, so that makes it very easy. And I'm at a point in my life where I don't feel like taking anymore. I just want to get back and be a good person, be a contributing member of society.
Yeah, for sure. And eventually it brings like a whole lots of opportunities, definitely. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You want, yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's very good and great to hear. Okay, and also like off recording, you mentioned like something about philosophy. What did you want to discuss?
So I'm curious about you. I don't know if you saw my last reply because I know that Twitter really sucks at burying replies that are beyond 280 characters. But one thing that I commented about you when you asked me like, how did you help me? Even though we've never actually talked before.
Yeah.
One of the things that you do, which I respect and which I also try to do and I've tried to do, is for every person that you talk to, you make them feel super important. I've noticed that on all these like small interactions on Twitter where, somebody mentions your name, you jump in, you say the right words that just seem so impactful that even I'm reading and I'm like, damn, dude. Yeah. Those sorts of things make me very curious about who you are as a person and the things that drive you. Not necessarily, we can go into kind of the backstory if you want to, but the sort of values that you have as a human that make you who you are. Because you are a very unique and interesting human.
Interesting. Yeah, and so that's why I love these calls, because I would never like know this. Okay, you commented it, but for now I missed it. I would see it, but when you're talking it to me, it's like have a different way. Wow, it's cool. So as for like Twitter, it's kind of what I learned. So it's kind of what I had to do, like to grow. So it's interesting that. But when I learned it, I saw, wow, it makes total sense. I love it. So I will push it like down. So basically, like this, like stupid simple rule. Like if you want to have like someone. If you want not like someone, like to spend like 10 likes. Like if you want like one comment, like comment 10 different people. Like if you want product hunt support like 10 different makers. So that's like very basic rules that everyone can apply. But naturally, like really in Twitter, you don't. So even like there is no way to understand how cool person is or not. Like in Twitter, like followers is not count because there are like people who know nothing, like with a lot of followers. There are really powerful people with few followers. I really saw like a really weird stuff. Like people were some people not liking or not following you, but they adding you to the private list. So Twitter is a very interesting community. So it forces you to do like this. But I really like to do this, and I also discovered other practice from Matt Mockery. It's like he's a startup coach, but not that like coach that we know, but he really legit guy. He worked with like CEO of Reddit. He worked with Naval, if you know, like so like OG. So he worked with like a lot of really great founders, and so he has like playbook how to run a company. But you can use it without like talking to him. And one of the practices that a lot of founders love, which we learned, is energy audit, energy check. And he said like most of CEO that he showed it to, they use it, and some CEO love it so much that they expand it to the whole company. And he mentioned like it's for CEO Brex, you know, this company, like huge company in fintech. Like they do it globally in the company. And the meaning of it, you just check like regularly your activities, your calendar, and you need to be ensure that at least 80% of activities are bringing you positive energy. And if you have like more activities that draining your energy, it's time to change something, like probably to work on, probably leave the work if it's also. Because it's interesting that it works in both directions, because if someone isn't happy with their work, their managers will be unhappy with them, and they will drain energy, not adding. And we were using it, like me and Dmitry, like as CEO of Product, we were using this like energy thing for some time, but we were thinking we are like weird. Like we
why
discuss it publicly. Yeah.
Okay.
But then when we like learn it from like these big guys, I understood that it's like how it should be, and really like what I learned, it's better to work with people who really bring you positive energy, which means they you just vibe together, and there is no like difficulties to work together. There is no difficulties to jump on a call, even if there is a problem. So you just say, "Hey man, could you just change it? Sorry." Like because some people like they can be great, but like to ask them to fix something small, you're just draining like all your like day energy, but in weird. And I really like thought about it like while building audience, while working in company. So now I'm very serious about like energy thing, and that's what I advise people. And some people even left company when I said them like you should do energy check, and they say yes, okay, I'm drained, so I leave company. And it was I mean it wasn't fun back then. I think it's the good thing like eventually, because I didn't expect that this person like he was suffering like or whatever was going on. So this means, but I don't know, do you have some specific question?
Not necessarily. I mean, that gives me that paints a certain picture of kind of how you approach either management or how you approach people, because there's a lot to be said about some either managers, leaders that care about the people underneath them. They care about the health and well-being of somebody, where, you know, if you implement this, it's not because you're, you know, trying to shoot for a KPI of everybody being 100% all the time or something like that, but it's because you're trying to help somebody understand themselves better, which ultimately is good for the company. Like you say, if somebody is down, if somebody is negatively impacting things, it's just going to be all around. And so long as those departures, when somebody recognized in themselves that they weren't in a good place, so long as those didn't negatively impact you too much, then I guess it's all above board and everything's fine. I'm sure it sucked, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. And okay, if you want to learn me about me more as a person, so as I said, like most of life, I was in consciousness, unconscious about like what I want. So I'm not okay. I wasn't an entrepreneur even. So I joined product just as developer, and I grew as a like dev lead, then to product manager. I work close with the other CEO of other company. So that's how I learned like entrepreneurship from him. But I was always driven by some stupid energy. I would say I just enjoyed creating stuff, and not like a very like polished stuff. Like if I want to learn something, I wouldn't spend like few months to learn it. I will do something today. So that's what always like my thing. And so my background, like the creative background, is music. So I'm a musician. So and a lot of people in my family are musicians. I'm not, again, professional musician, but I played in a lot of bands. I toured, and I created a lot of music during my life. And so I was always like creating. I love people who create into. So that's what I was admired, and like what attracted me. And so this energy thing, I'm now realizing that like this energy thing is also like important for me. I'm also very introverted.
I was going to ask about that because I think I saw that literally in just one post as I was scrolling past like a month ago. I was like, oh, really? Is that so? It doesn't seem like it, but it's always hard to tell because, you know, Twitter is Twitter, and we have a certain way of carrying ourselves that doesn't necessarily change, or that doesn't necessarily mean we're not introverted. I'm very curious to understand what you are, because I consider myself to be as well.
Right. Yeah. So I consider myself very introverted. So example, I was playing concerts again as a musician. So a week ago, I played a concert in Warsaw on drums in a band, and there was. So it was a great concert, and there were a lot of like all-time friends, like someone who I didn't see for like years, someone from Canada actually, who lived in Canada for 10 years. But I felt so much anxiety. I didn't want to go there because there are like hundreds of people around me, and I don't want to say hi to everyone. So it's like every like connection is like something I don't know, like the taking my mind space. So it's I hate like team buildings, especially like company team buildings. I go there, but I don't want to be there like when there is a lot of people. So yeah, in internet it's more comfortable to me. So that's how.
Is it because it's not face to face? Even though you're literally in front of thousands of people and you're tweeting out to the world of thousands of people seeing what you're doing, it's different because it's not face to face, right?
Yeah, and especially like so I'm usually for this call I'm jumping on with people that I know, like I know the background. I saw that you did, so I kind of could imagine who you are. So it helps like to ensure that this person. So basically, like why do I afraid as an introvert that nobody cares about me? I know everybody thinks that I'm not interested in. So that's why I probably shouldn't start a conversation first. So basically, I'm trying to get this confirmation that I somehow interesting to someone. So it's making my life easier. But the stupid thing that's like even if they not like all these calls, like there are very few calls that someone said that I dump. So there are zero calls like that. So it never happens. But anyway, like I think that I'm dumb.
Well, see, but that's kind of what I mean. Is like it's because I share a similar sort of feeling as you, where I feel like I'm introverted, even though everybody kind of tells me that I'm not. But I don't really understand, and my approach to conversation is, I don't know exactly where it stems from. It's some kind of a fear of some sort that I don't fully understand, but it just makes me uncomfortable being around people sometimes, or meeting new people particularly. Even before this call, I'm like kind of pulling my shit together. But fuck, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, it's just I don't really know where all of this comes from, but I also don't know if we kind of put ourselves in the position where we have this mentality that we have either from before that we're kind of carrying with us. That's not necessarily true now, because the conversations you have with other people, you're clearly the most comfortable person in the room. So it sounds strange from an outside perspective to think that you're an introvert when your persona, which seems to just genuinely be you on the internet and on calls, on video, the random things that you do that I've seen the videos you make for Paralect, it's somewhat conflictory, but in a way that's kind of curious, in a way that's interesting.
Okay, yeah, and if I like think about it, so I think there are a lot of things that I'm just thinking about that's like non-existent basically, but I'm thinking I'm caring about them. So that's what the issue is, and like the whole life I was like thinking, okay, if I don't do things like him or she, like I probably weirdo, so I probably should keep it in private. It's like, and all the time like resolution was probably I just like weird, so I don't do. And like while I'm learning Twitter and so all this stuff, and I also like really recommend this book, like Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, if you know it, from Mark Manson. So that's what teach me a lot, like being comfortable, like and what I learned. So probably I'm not like that weird as I like thought. So it's a good also way to do things, and probably it's even better way to do things. So I shouldn't think about it like weird stuff, and I should be comfortable with this. So that's the main thing. And that's what I'm learning. I'm to be comfortable with this and like sharing more. So I get rid of this like stupid like things inside me, and understand that it's not a problem at all.
I've had a conversation with somebody a while ago, it might have been my girlfriend, somewhere around here, about the whole idea of being weird. Everybody always says weird is a bad thing, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. Like if somebody says that you're weird, sometimes it means you're awkward, sometimes it means you're just different in a strange way that is sometimes also very captivating and very unique. I feel like you're different in a strange way that's also very captivating and unique. I'm not calling you weird, but the way that you approach things is definitely far different than anybody else that's doing anything else. Like, I mean, just look at your Twitter, look at the way you deal with people, the way you talk with people, which is fun to see. And that's circling all the way back to our previous conversation. I think that's kind of the thing that gives a lot of people energy and gives a lot of motivation and a lot of, I guess just positive energy in the Twitter space, which is cool to see.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. And by the way, just to clarify, so nobody ever called me weird. So it's all like, again in my head. I don't know why. I mean, in the bad way. Okay, so I think we're running out of time, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so last question. So I asked to everyone here. So what is your message to building public community? Something like tweet size, like not
tweet size. Tweet size. I suck at keeping things nice and short. For the building public community, in the flavor of the things that I do, just help out there, just ask for it, just go for it. Time is short. Nothing will happen the longer you wait. Do things now rather than later. Go with your gut sometimes, but also be smart about it. Make the right decisions, make the smart decisions. And if you're not sure what to do, ask for help. Nice. It's a very great advice. Okay, so let me start the recording. Thank you, Dom. Do it in public. You have nothing to hide. Start using